esim. There are a few teachings from quite good teachers out there which suggest whatever arises, no matter which feeling, thought, or perception, not to do anything with it, but just notice it. This seems a contradiction to inquiry. How I understand their theory is that the mind gets still and falls back into awareness one day. Perhaps you can bring some peace into this contradictive mind game between the inquiry and non-doers. There are two forms of meditation. There is a spontaneous or natural meditation. And there is meditation as an experiment or an exercise. Both the self-inquiry and meditation as an exercise are paths that lead to the natural experience of meditation. So both the investigation and the somehow a little contrived meditation as an exercise eventually lead to the same experience of spontaneous meditation. The investigation of our true nature separates, if you will, or discriminates between our true nature, consciousness, and the objects, the perceptions that appear in consciousness. And it is obvious that we are rather that to which the perceptions appear than the perceptions that appear. Because we have this experience that we remain the same throughout the perceptions, and that the perceptions come and go. If our true nature were one of the perceptions, we would also come and go with the perceptions. But that's not our experience. We are that which remains throughout the perceptions. So, by discriminating between that which is impermanent, the perceptions, and that which is permanent, our true nature, the awareness, the presence, we disentangle ourselves from anything that is perceived. And at some point, because we are attached to our true nature and not to the perceptions. At some point, this self-inquiry leads to a condition in which we are indifferent to whatever appears, benevolently indifferent. And when that happens effortlessly, naturally, out of this understanding of that we are not interested really in that which comes and goes. We are in spontaneous, authentic meditation. Now, some teachers, I don't know about the ones you are referring to, but some teachers, and I do that myself, they would have some guided meditations, for instance, in which they will directly point at this spontaneous meditation. And they would give an advice such as, welcome all the appearances with benevolent indifference. You see? And in this process, what happens is that we become aware, because in the beginning we cannot welcome everything with benevolent indifference, you know. Our girlfriend says, you know, I found this nice tennis instructor. Much stronger than you, playing much better, and much more handsome. Then it's difficult to welcome that with benevolent indifference. So, but when we are, you know, in our bedroom, secluded, on a rainy day, in Shropshire, then we may, you know, the girlfriend is fine, everything is fine, so we may devote some time to play with this exercise. And it may lead to the same spontaneous meditation, because after all, we are not that attached to this or to that, to this thought or this sensation that goes through our mind. And then we reach the same spontaneous, natural, meditative state. And then what happens in this state, in both cases, is that we begin to experience the causeless peace. And then we have a sample, if you will, of what life ought to be like. We know that really happiness is not dependent upon the objects, but rather that happiness comes from within, from that we are, in fact, the happiness we seek. And that gives us great freedom and great independence. So there is no contradiction between the two methods. However, some teachers who are not really authentic, they would use the witnessing system, in which they say, just be the witness. Be the witness of your thoughts, be the witness of your... But because they believe to be themselves a separate consciousness, a separate witness, they cannot tell you, they cannot really, in an efficient way, reveal to you that you are the universal witness. So then, you witness, but you witness still as a separate entity. And this witnessing does very little to you towards real meditation. The great secret is that consciousness is universal. You have to be open to that. Before you do all of these exercises, at least be open to this possibility.